Welcome everybody to our third video for the GSA Search Engine Ranker training. We're going to be going over captcha in this video. So you'll find that under options here and in the options navigation bar under captcha. Now you'll see in here several things. One is that you need to really click add to see what options are available, and you'll see there's a lot of different options available in here for captcha. GSA has their own product which is always listed first on the list here is GSA Captcha Breaker. So you click add and you notice that it'll add that service in here, and you can do things like retry the second time or even more if you want, or only use it if the PR is between a certain level, or only for do follow links. And there's a setting here for if it does fail, to ask you whether you want to solve it yourself. And I don't recommend that because you'll be, having those boxes pop up all day long asking you for a service. Because from my experience, GSA solves somewhere, Captcha Breaker solves somewhere in the vicinity of 65-70% of the captcha, somewhere in there, give or take, depending on your circumstances and your setup. Now, this is set up so you can stack these services in here. So you can put GSA captcha service, and then you can add, for instance, so if you go in here, it says recommended a second service, deCAPTCHA. That's their recommendation. So you can have it go to GSA, retry it twice, for instance, the first time and then a one retry, and then if it doesn't work, send it over to deCAPTCHA, and that's going to send everything over to deCAPTCHA. So bear in mind you're going to get a bill from deCAPTCHA, which is a per 1,000 captcha service. You can also add, and I actually prefer death by captcha because it's a little bit less expensive, and you could use that as a second service here too. Now there are other options. GSA Captcha Breaker itself has settings for what can happen if it fails to solve the captcha. And in GSA Captcha Breaker, you have a lot more minute options as to what you can do. Here, if you do set up this way, it's going to send every single thing that fails over to death by captcha to be solved, which death by captcha generally solves almost 100% of the captchas. So the good thing is you're going to probably get almost all of the links, but the bad thing is you're going to get a pretty good bill. So in GSA Captcha Breaker, there's settings where you can just send over just particular types of captcha over to death by captcha. For instance, reCAPTCHA is one of the big issues that GSA and other desktop type captcha services can't solve. You could just set it up to send reCAPTCHA over to death by captcha, and which is some very important links, and then skip the rest, or send any other particular type of captcha that is failing over and individually choose them. So we'll go over that when we go over the GSA Captcha Breaker settings, in that module. But for now, just know that you can set up GSA here, which is what I recommend. And if you want to get everything else sent to a captcha service, then you can either put captcha or death by captcha here, and it'll send, or you can send. You can handle that in the settings of GSA Captcha Breaker, where you have a lot more control what to do if this fails. So now here there's also another service, because captcha isn't the only type of security that these sites that we're going to be asking for links from use. There's also text question security, like 12 minus 9 equals, right? Or other types of text security I'm sure you've seen. This server called askmebot.com, I think it's the current price is around $10 a month, right? And if you wish to have those types of security solved for you, you just go pay for their service, put their API key in here, click test, and just go ahead and click go. So those are the options here for captcha. If you go in here, and you'll notice there's a lot of other services. And GSA has expressed their opinion on a lot of them. Sometimes it says unstable, sometimes slow, outdated, down, slow. Most of them, aren't going to be as good as their own product, and they're right. They've got a good product, GSA Capcha Breaker. Capcha Sniper is their big competitor, and there's a lot of going back and forth as to who's best. So just to help out, I found a service that had done a survey on that. This is someone on a forum who did a concrete, detailed study on GSA versus a Capcha Breaker versus Capcha Sniper, and you can see in his study, Death by Capcha outperforms both of them, but Capcha Breaker does beat Capcha Sniper pretty handily. So it's a service I use, and it's what I would recommend too. So, and you can do your own research and your own due diligence on this and make your own choices, obviously. There's another service mentioned in there of the options called Spamvilla, and they handle very specifically reCAPTCHA, which is what we were talking about. And they have this service for reCAPTCHA OCR with 50% accuracy. And they'll sell you the API, and you'll notice the volumes here. It says it's best for, GSA Ranker, but you notice low volume users. And this is the problem with the service, because this only allows you 10 threads, 20 threads, 50, 100 threads for $150 a month. That's fine if you're using it on a low power computer, like something in your office. Somewhere in here would be fine, but it's not cheap. And if you're using it on a VPS that's highly capable, we would be running at 300 threads, so this wouldn't you'd be overpowering the API. So, and then they ask you for a custom price if you want to move up from there, which I'm sure is even more expensive. So anyway, it's an option for running for just capturing reCAPTCHAs on a limited basis. You might want to check that out. So that's our lesson for the GSA Search Engine Ranker CAPTCHA section.